Shall we do super? Sounds sus.
This
Didn't mean it
video
like
is
that.
sponsored.
Didn't mean it like that. We're not going to do super. We're going to watch super. Okay? Let me just reiterate. We're not going to do super. We're going to watch super. Right, and let's check this one out. This is one people have been asking me to watch for a few days, actually. The worst operator for every class in-depth analysis for Arknights from the most hated Arknights creator. We love him. Let's see what he's got to say about this in Italian. Let's go.
This video is sponsored by you. Links for the channel are in the description. Hello there, Arknights most hated YouTuber here. Once again being quite confused at all those other videos from other YouTubers outside the Arknights space, being like, oh, you guys know me, I like being positive, I don't like making negative videos, it's not the vibe I want on my channel. Fuck you. I love being a hater.
There's nothing wrong with being a hater, man. Sometimes you just gotta get it off your chest, right? You know? Like, man, I'm here for it. You know, sometimes you just gotta vent. And you guys see it all the time. I call myself the woo hater because I just have to let it off my chest sometimes. I haven't quite got there with Arknights, but maybe one day.
It gives me youth. So today we are discussing the worst 6-star operator in each class. Yes, the title and the thumbnail.
Bro feels renewed when he gets that hate off his chest. It's like a cleansing action for him. Okay, I respect it.
Are technically misleading. This is because if I actually included every operator in the game, this entire list would just be 2 stars, 1 stars, and Frostleaf. We begin with casters.
Okay.
Some operators in this video are here through a process of elimination, where they just happen to be the least good of their class. Others on this list, however, literally do not function as operators in this game on a basic level, and are fundamentally broken.
I love to see the gummy gameplay.
Carnelian is the latter. She's not just the worst 6-star caster, she is the worst 6-star in general. Operators like her and Liberator guards function on a very simple concept. They do nothing for a while to then pop off with a big payoff. Not just that, but they don't truly do nothing while they charge. Angelina has global healing. Lin nullifies damage below a certain threshold. Beeswax is an insane tank, and Winar attracts aggro and reflects damage. So, operators like this to function are composed of 2 parts, the big payout and utility as they charge.
Fair.
Carnelian is lacking both.
Is this true? Is this true? Is she just shit at both?
I cannot stress this enough, that during her outrageously long charge times,
42 seconds.
she truly, absolutely does not do anything. She is quite possibly the only operator in the game, beside Windscoot, that does not do anything. Nothing. Nada. Everyone else, even Mint, do something while charging. Carnelian uniquely does not. But then you activate her, and she does so little, she might as well still be doing nothing.
Don't
her
know her kid,
DPS
actually.
and total damage are comparable to Tequila, the 5-star Liberator.
Oh shit.
And even then, it's back-ended, meaning it needs to ramp up, making it just a tad more unreliable. When it comes to tanking, she's also abysmal dogshit.
Hey yo, this goes back to what I was saying before in regards to consistency sometimes, right? You know? I'm not saying this unit is that, because it's not, but like, you know, sometimes having a unit that can hit higher peaks but not consistently do it. Sometimes consistency is a beautiful thing in games, right?
So you can't even cope that she can at least be a baseline tank. She regains HP when
Having to wait for
skills
that ramp
are
up, though.
activated, but due to the Phalanx caster trait, it means she will immediately lose all the HP she just gained.
Oh shit,
Carnelian truly and absolutely does not function as an operator in its most baseline requirements. As for guards, it was actually really close. Chen, the one without the ridiculous name, is immediately out of the competition due to the arcade.
The designs are peak and skins are exceptional gameplay. I'd say they're balancing it out right. They're like, damn, we need to cook somewhere else, man, because we did not cook in the design in terms of kit. Okay.
IS module, rendering offensive recovery a genuine niche in IS. Lessing also can dish out some pretty okay damage, and on paper he has a niche against abnormal statuses. This means it was between Hellagur and Pallas. I talked about it in my Discord server, which you should join by the way, link in the description, and I went in-game to run some tests of my own. Okay. In the end, I feel it's a pretty clear-cut answer. Hellagur is a geriatric old man, and believe you me, he surely feels like it in gameplay. I put them both against Bishop Quintus, which is kind of just a huge HP sponge, and Hellagur took around twice the time it took Pallas to kill it, while being deployed last and having no healing, meaning he could make use of his talent. Plus, skill 2 has a
I need to look at that. What's the talent?
Pallas to kill it, while being deployed last and having no healing, meaning he could make use.
Attributes increased HP plus 250, attack plus 90, wax immune improved, gains up to plus 130 attack speed, tenacity reaches maximum bonus when losing 50% max HP. Okay, so without the healing, you're gaining that. Okay, alright.
Use of his talent.
So
plus,
even with that,
skill 2 has a pretty bad uptime at just 34%, and relies on RNG to dodge as his only self-sustain. Plus, he can't use medics. This is important. It means he doesn't have access to a lot of utility, mainly Monster Skill 2 and Lumen Skill 3. Hellagur doesn't really have any survivability to speak of, unlike Zuole. This means that for him to shine, you need the extremely specific circumstance of enemies that can beat his ass to trigger his talent, but not quite hard enough to actually kill him.
Yeah, okay.
He shines in one very specific situation, and you kinda need to go out of your way to make it happen, while otherwise being extremely underwhelming. For the medic class, the choice is
yeah, that's not like, because like obviously some units can be like that, and that can be like indicative of other games as well, you know, where you can have a unit that can be, or a character, or whatever the fuck you want to call it in a game, can be useful, but it's such a specific situation to really make them useful that it's just not worth it. And then couple it sometimes with the fact that it's like, it's an underwhelming utility or usefulness. When it is in that specific situation, it's just at that point, it's just like, yeah, whatever, it's just not worth it, right?
Really obvious, it's shining. In fact, out of every 6-star medic, she's the only one I would call bad. Every single other one is actually really good.
Hey, boys! It's the stage.
The one big issue with Shining is her gimmick. She's the physical damage counterpart to
Attack plus 50%, all allies within range, defense plus 100%.
Nightingale. They are meant to mitigate huge amounts of their respective damage types. However, whereas Art's damage is a percentage reduction, meaning that Nightingale increasing resistance by 15 is a 15% damage reduction in all circumstances.
Is this what he's showing this gameplay? I'm pretty sure I had comments like this on my JT83 clear that I'm sure some people mentioned Nightingale. They were like, clearing JT83 without Nightingale as well, E1s is a decent thing to do. I'm assuming then that this unit's useful for that then, right? I'd never seen this unit until now, I'm not gonna lie.
Physical is a simple subtraction. Enemy attack minus operator defense gives you the final damage. This means that in the situations Shining is meant
there is in the outside, yeah.
to be used, those being huge amounts of physical damage, it is likely that physical damage will be enough to outpace Shining's healing. In other words, for...
Yeah, because I remember when like people was coming into my stream when I was doing it, like people who weren't, I guess, didn't know my account and stuff were coming in like, oh man, you should build like Nightingale and something like that. I ain't got Nightingale. So, now I know what Nightingale does, okay.
The vast majority of circumstances, it's just better to use a raw HPS healer like Susurro or Alter. Shining is left in this weird middle ground, where the physical damage needs to be high enough, where an HPS healer can't help, but also not quite high enough to just ignore her skill tree. It's the same problem as Hellagur. Besides, Haruka's skill tree is in the game now, which is literally just Nightingale's skill tree, but that also applies to physical damage, completely and utterly removing any tiny little resemblance of a niche Shining might have had. Snipers are also an easy choice. Sure, there's some stinkers in here, like Rosmontis anywhere outside of IS-5,
I want Rosmontis,
which got power crept into super hell, or the original W, which kinda doesn't do anything.
Was that a League gameplay there that I saw? Yeah, I really want Rosmontis, man. I just like, after her being in the story, she's such a cool character. I just want her.
But only one 6-star sniper has the luxury of joining the exclusive club of operators who do not function on a fundamental level.
Oh, really, Red?
And that's Fartooth. Here's the thing. Anyway, regarding Fartooth, the issue is that...
Okay, alright, I like that. Okay. Respect to the editing.
Infinite expand dong straight line range on skill tree is a cool concept on paper, but in practice, due to how she actually works, she needs to make use of that extra range to get access to her damage.
Dad joke.
Which means you need a stage.
I love a good dad joke, man. I love a good dad joke.
That is very wide or very long, with a ranged tile in a useful position to hit important enemies.
Anyone else got the same problem? What, audio's low? Is it? It shouldn't be, hopefully. I can't really turn the video up much more. I can turn it up a little bit, but hopefully it shouldn't be too low.
In other words, a solid 90% of stages in this game literally do not have a functioning tile for Fartooth skill tree. She also has skill 2, but it's really lackluster. It has poor skill cycles, relies on other operators, and doesn't actually increase her damage, just her attack speed.
Okay.
Besides, her infinite range gimmick in a straight line sounds cool at first, until you realize that global range is literally just that, but in every line. So even in the 1 in 10 stages...
I'm not gonna lie, man. Like, that's one of the big things that I'm like, oh. Like, obviously, I wanna do the entire story E1. I do, right? But there's like E2 Serta, E2 Ewan Lapland Ulta. I'm just, oh, bro, I just want an E2 for that. I just want an E2 for that alone, you know what I mean?
Where her skill tree is allowed to function, she gets mogged by Golden Glow and Lapland Alter. Another issue with Fartooth is that her gimmick is damage per hit rather than damage per second. This means she doesn't synergize super well with attack speed buffs. And not just that, the damage per hit isn't all that great. Very often, it
Remember, Pig says he wants to eat me neither.
one-shot very basic mobs. In the
Give in
end,
to
you are
temptation.
left with an extremely underwhelming sniper whose skill tree does not even have a functioning tile on most maps in the game. Specialists were a tough one. A lot of you, the ignorant swines, may immediately point to Crown Slayer, and sure, maybe once upon a time, but not anymore.
Bro, aren't these skills so fucking anime? It just looks so fucking good.
Her new module actually makes her pretty good. The other specialists...
And again, I guess this is a little bit off topic, but well, it's not because it's specific to what he's just said there. That's, again, as somebody who hasn't interacted with the module system because I'm E1, the module system in itself is a really good way to, like, bring characters up to speed again, right? I don't think, and I get why they don't. Why would you invest in creating stuff for older units when you can just make new units more desirable and give them gear that makes them better? But, you know, I like that. I like that. I wish more games did that. That's one thing I've got to give props to ZZZ for, of them, you know, again, they're doing it with Sambi this time, right? Getting a buff, making them, trying to bring them up to speed a little bit. Now, I don't know how much it will improve her, but I like that. I like it when, it's why I think support units are always useful, especially in other games, because you can bring a good support unit in and it can bring older units back up to speed, can't it? So, like, yeah, the module system's good in that sense, right?
Are actually either alright, or good, or downright meta. All of them have a niche. Some of them are underwhelming, like Zwire and Leah, but none are bad per se. Ultimately, it was between Ak and Phantom, and I chose Ak. His issue is much the same as Phantom, that being that due to new releases, he just has no place in the meta anymore.
Okay.
Anything he does, someone...
I really like Monster, man. I'm glazing enough, man. I can't glaze her enough, man. Like, such a fucking cool unit.
Someone else does better. The difference between him and Phantom, however, is that you could, if you wanted, use Phantom alongside Texas and Yato. As for Ak, you never really use multiple buffers, do you? Even in CC, you usually only use one buffer, if any, or one buffer paired with one debuffer.
Okay.
There is two camps of buffing, attack and attack speed. Attack can fall flat on certain units due to some additive, multiplicative things that my small brain doesn't fully comprehend, but you can just plainly see it with your eyes that it doesn't do much on operators like Sutra and synergizes very well with others like Rei. Attack speed is more beneficial on a wider range of units.
Okay, I was just thinking that then, that in my head I was like, obviously you got attack and attack speed, right? In essence, in a sense, when you break it down to like a fundamental thing, well, you're like, it's kind of a similar thing, right? You know, you're increasing your attack, individual attack, you're increasing your attack speed is making your attack speed go up, which is overall is increasing your attack as well, right? And just wondering that, which is beneficial to more units. And I guess, is this true then, that that's probably the way? Because in my head, I was thinking that attack speed probably would benefit a little bit more. Okay.
So, unfortunately for Ak, Warfarin is way better when it comes to attack buffs, and trans representation monster exists now, which
Okay, whatever.
is the queen of attack speed buffs, and in general the best stat buff in the game. This leaves Ak with no place left in the ecosystem of the game.
Men's attack can help an operator overcome high defense. Depends on their skill. It's is it instant damage or duration type? Attack speed for more hits. Well, yeah. It's basically increasing your DPS in a sense, isn't it? Your damage per second. Your attacks are going up, so you, in a sense, it's like say you break it down, like theoretically the same thing's happening. Attack is going up. It's just you're getting there in two different ways, isn't it? Honestly, I think Lee's worse than Ark. Some would say Ark bad because team kill. I was going to say, don't show Ark in front of some people because I might call you a psychopath. You know? Probably never played a team sport in your life. You know? I don't think you've got any friends if you use Ark. Just saying.
He's not the best buffer for anyone, really, anymore. Besides, due to the upfront damage tax they have to pay, he cannot buff everyone, while the other two simply do not have any such restriction. Magallan is the worst supporter and there is no competition. I don't want to hear it. Because you watched a Magallan solo 4 years ago, that doesn't mean she's good. There is a
Quick pause. Does Super edit his own videos himself, or does he have an editor? Because obviously he gets enough views that he could probably get an editor on board. Maybe. Obviously, I don't know his financial situation, but the editing is really good on Super's videos. If he does do it himself, shout out to you, Superman. You're doing a good job.
On those videos are so old. She has more issues than a Hello Kitty girl, and this is probably the longest section in the video. Let me state this once more. The main issue with the summoner archetype is very simple. The summons take up deployment slots. This means that said summons are in direct competition with literally every single other operator that could take that deployment slot instead. Unless you are using Ling or Raidian, the summon will never win that competition. Some modules make it so the first summon does not take deployment slots to mitigate this, but a singular free summon in a team of regular operators has about as much impact on the team as an empty squad slot. So, because of this, in the year of our Lord 2025, there is 2 reasons to use a summoner: to trust farm and to make a cool clear video. For the videos, nobody watches those, be for real.
I was going to say, that's, you know, because obviously some stages I've cleared, and then people have been like, oh, check out some of the clears. And I'm like, damn, nobody really does watch the clear videos, right? Which, for a game like Arknights, I would have thought they'd be a lot higher. Now, does it just mean that the Arknights community is bigger brained? I don't know, because, you know, I see a lot of people talking about that they've watched videos to learn clears, and that's one thing we're doing on this channel, and I'm hoping I can continue it for as long as possible, that we don't watch any clears until we've cleared a stage. But, like, I'll look at, like, you know, like when we went through some of the JT 8.3 stuff, the R8.8 stuff, and I'm just like, how does this not have more views? Because, one, it's incredibly impressive, and two, this stage wasn't easy, so you just think there'd be people searching for it just to attempt to get past it. Maybe it's indicative of, I don't know, big brain community, I don't know.
Trust farms Ling, Raidian, and Eblana.
I've seen some of the stuff from the community though, so I don't think it is the big brain. Just saying.
Are so much better.
God loves you, chat. God loves
Not
you.
just that, but Magallan is also a victim of early
niche clears and niche. True. But even just like hard stages, you know what I mean? Less so the actual niche clears themselves, but just some of the hard stages. Like, I expected them to have more clears. But I suppose, again, this is coming from, I suppose, a unique way of the way I'm doing things is I'm getting these clears sent to me from you guys, and typically you guys probably are looking for more impressive niche clears, aren't you? Because you're like, dude, let me just show you what a fucking really good player did. So I suppose that factors into it. So that's a good point, actually, where, like, if it was just, this is how you clear this stage, easiest way to clear it, probably has more views than how you clear this really hard stage with fucking one tile or like, you know, a bunch of fucking 4 stars, or you know what I mean? So yeah, I guess that kind of makes some sense.
Design. She has pointless restrictions that do nothing but gimp her. Namely, the fact that her summons
people watch more in the form of guidance, not ones that don't. Yeah, true. Yeah, these are all good points, chat. Fairs.
vanish off to the fucking Shadow Realm when the skills end. But okay, let's say you are a funky fellow and you do use summoners in normal gameplay. You will find out 3 things. 1. Her skill 1 is actually pretty okay. The stall is actually alright. However, like 99% of crowd control operators in this game, she runs into the same wall, which is the simple question, why the fuck wouldn't you use Ethan instead? A free 4-star that does the same thing, but way better. 2. Magallan's drones barely deal damage. 3. If you feel like using a summoner, Raidian, a free 6-star that will come with IS-6, exists.
When we're talking about unique weapons, I know these are not necessarily our weapons, but technically are. Like, bro, look at the stick man guns, hands and guns, like fish with guns, playing with guns, like, I love it.
And is around 10 times better. The issue with summoners is that you need to justify bringing a summoner, and then you need to justify deploying a summon instead of a normal operator. In normal gameplay, there is simply no way to ever justify using Magallan. For everything her drones can do, an actual operator does better. And for chest farms, there is
yeah, it's a good point, really. Like, and if you're losing slots anyway, it's like, it's not like you can be like, well, you know, I'm using less ops. It's like, yeah.
better dedicated trust farm operators. And
FY Radiant's inspiration is the pigeon with the hands drawn. Really? That's cool, that is. Yeah, like look at this shit, man. Like, this is fucking cool, right? Very first time I seen this, it had me chuckling.
If you just feel like using a summoner for some reason, Raidian exists, who is freer, more comfortable, and stronger. Magallan discussion is uniquely frustrating. In the early days, she gained a reputation as a very strong operator who could solo stages on her own, but had a steep learning curve. You had to prove yourself to enter the Temple of the Penguin. This made her the premium, elitist, pinky-out choice, and in fact, even today, when you point out the obvious, gigantic, glaring flaws with Magallan, and that she is completely worthless for 99% of play.
One thing I will say though, right, is the attack animation's pretty cool as well. Taking the photo, right? That's pretty cool. I quite like that. It's quite unique. I like that. Because I you know, it's nice to appreciate little things like that in this game. Because obviously being chibi characters, those little you know, little animations sometimes are really pleasing on the eye.
Yes, you're gonna get hit with the skill issue. Clearly, you are not an enlightened Arknights player who enjoys the game beyond the gacha aspects like me. Rather, you are a brute who uses the meta 6 stars without realizing they are products to be sold. Ho ho ho! Clearly, you haven't hit up the Magallan dojo to train, you absolute barbarian. Moving on, before I get an actual aneurysm, there is only one real candidate for the worst 6-star defender.
Okay.
The thing with defenders is that, by and large, they are all alright. Baseline, if you pick a defender, you want them to take a bunch of hits and
I'm just looking at the squads here. I'm just looking at the squads.
Block 3, and almost every single defender achieves this function, so almost all of them are alright units.
I'll say obviously I haven't used most of them, but for the ones that I've used, most of them really are like, you know, does what it says on the tin, right? You know?
Or better. Almost, because Eunectes exists. Duelist defenders are the single worst archetype in the game. In function, they are just an overly expensive and shitty dreadnought guard.
YouTube crashed on me. Sorry. Stream's still up. Stream's still up. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, okay. HP, very high, average low. I'm gonna go back because we had the...
Almost, because
there, yeah.
Eunectes exists. Duelist defenders...
Redeployment time 70 seconds, defense average high, attack very high, HP very high. Wait. What came one?
Are the single worst archetype in the game. In function, they are just an overly expensive and shitty dreadnought guard, who itself is a quite mediocre and underused.
I didn't know they only had a one block count. What's the cost as well then? Like what we're talking, like high 20s or something?
The archetype. Not just that, but duelists have an horrendously bad trait of only being able to gain SP when blocking. As I said in previous videos, Arknights is a skill game. You do not use operators for their basic attacks, you bring them for the skills. Therefore, things that give you easier access to skills are some of the best things in the game.
Well, that's fair, right? Obviously some have better basics than others, but I mean that's pretty fair, man.
In the same token, actively hampering your own ability to access your own skills is the single most disastrous thing you can do to yourself in this game. To balance this, duelists have a very high attack stat. However, this actually ended up harming them even more, because by having
they're not really ever really blocking
a high attack stat, they will kill whatever they are blocking sooner, and thus...
Kind of antithetical to the design in a sense, that right? Yeah, you get bonus when blocking, but... What? Nah, we don't even do that.
Get less SP from it. And yes, even Hypergryph realized this is an issue, as Aurora, the duelist defender after Eunectes, literally does not attack until she gets a certain amount of SP. And about this, it doesn't really matter to the video, but I want to mention it. Eunectes is, as far as I know, the only operator in the game with an outright negative module.
Is this true?
That being her module Y, which does nothing but increase her attack even further, so she has even more trouble getting SP. I understand that this is a module meant for skill 1, but still. Eunectes is clunky, shitty.
That's unusual then, right? Because that's like a post-choice design as well, right? That's a weird one.
Awkward, finicky, and once you get through everything and charge...
To be fair though, you can't always post W's right, you know? She's charging SP for her as a truck. Yeah, it seems like a weird module to come up with that like kind of just exacerbates that issue, right?
Her skill, it's not even all that good compared to newer operators in year 6 and 7 who have better, more powerful skills without the not grating hassle Eunectes offers. So you have a shitty dreadnought with the worst trait in the game, with clunky skills to use, which once used are not even comparable to everything else around them. Finally, for our final class, we have vanguards.
Okay.
It's a siege. Vigil is actually kind of alright nowadays. Skill 3 has solid damage and synergizes very well with buffs, and his skill 1 is used pretty often for stalling. Meanwhile, Siege generally has nothing. The Throne of Victoria is like the most gigantic cope I've ever seen. Her one...
Hey, let's calm down on any slander regarding Victoria now. Come on now. Come on now.
Niche, that of being an early game lane holder, as in handling enemies at the start of the stage for a cheap cost, was completely erased and lost to the sands of time when Myrtle came out 6 fucking years ago. And then she just kept getting power crept over and over, to the point I can only assume someone at Hypergryph actually just hates her. She's a weak operator who barely makes any DP.
What's in her mouth? Is that bubblegum? Like, what's the deal in her mouth?
Only vanguard in the game with a skill that does not make DP and does not help making DP in any way. She has no real use case
Okay, interesting.
or niche to speak of. She does nothing, she is nothing, she has no place in the ecosystem of the game,
Lollipop.
and her artworks are kinda ugly.
I don't know about Hypergryph, mate. You know, fucking Super definitely does. Not gonna lie though, I remember when we was going through like drip nights and stuff. Yeah. Hate to say. Damn. Bro's got some slander.
That's all, Max Origami, bye.
Bro was not letting up there. Jeez. Okay, alright. Yeah, great video as always, man. Super makes great videos. Again, I'd love to know, because Super does pop into chat sometimes and does watch the videos. If you do watch these, or you are in chat, or whatever, or if this gets relayed, Super, do you edit your videos yourself, bro? Because... yeah, man, you do a really fucking good job of it, man. Your editing's on point, dude. Or you've got an editor. Either way, fire editing. Guys, if you haven't, go check out Super. Everybody in chat knows Super, and if you don't, then you should get to know. I think he makes some great content, man. I really like his videos. His comedic timing's on point as well. Great video. Show some love.